time you'd like to ask any questions, please enter your questions on the chat box on your right. If you don't have a chat box to your right, simply place your mouse and cursor towards the bottom of your window where you'll see a navigation button that says chat. Just click on that button and the chat box will appear on your right. With that being said, here is Tina Brown, president of the Spring Mountain Republican Women. Take it away, Tina.
Welcome everyone to Women Leader Wednesday. We are in week 5. The goal is to highlight amazing candidates throughout Nevada running for office. We'll be having conversations with candidates every Wednesday evening on Zoom between now and the election. Please share and invite friends, family, and neighbors to join us. I'd like to introduce you to Annie Black. Annie is Nevada Assemblywoman-elect for District 19. A little of her bio, I'll let her tell you about herself. She is still a Mesquite City Councilwoman, past president of Mesquite Republican Women's Club. She was born on January 20th, 1981, the same day as Ronald Reagan was inaugurated. Annie, can you tell everyone a little about yourself?
Sure, yeah. Thanks for having me, Tina. Thanks, Rudy and Michelle, for inviting me to be here tonight with you guys. I'm really excited to do this. This is awesome. I was born and raised in Las Vegas, and I'm the oldest of 10 kids. My parents have been in the casino and the development business here in Nevada for a long time. They transferred out of that, and now we are in the RV park and convenience store business. So we're pretty heavily vested in the city of Mesquite and also in Las Vegas. So very big business background. And when I graduated high school, I went into real estate, and I've been doing that now since I graduated high school. So for about 20 years. So that's about me. I have 2 boys. One just graduated high school, and one is about to get his driver's license and turn 16. So that's pretty much me.
Oh, that's exciting. You currently sit on the Mesquite City Council. What motivated you to get involved in politics and run for state assembly?
So maybe kind of a silly story. As you mentioned earlier, I was born on Ronald Reagan's inauguration day, and I don't know who gave me this coin, but I got a inaugural coin. And when I saw it and realized it was my birthday, I just had it in my head as a kid that I'm going to grow up and be the president. So ever since then, I don't know why, it was just like, this is the thing I'm obsessed with. Grew up working on campaigns like John Ensign and people like that. And my family's always been very conservative. So my dad and his brothers would always be talking about politics, and just grew up in that environment and always have felt like this is something that I was called to do. So I first ran for state assembly back in 2010. I didn't win, but you know, a decade later, we finally made it, so.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How has your time on the Mesquite City Council prepared you for being in the assembly?
City Council's taught me a couple of things. Number one, you have to do a lot of negotiating, collective bargaining agreements, dealing with unions. So that's something that I've been really involved in that process and kind of seeing how that all works. You also learn that in a budget, you think as a citizen that there's so many things that you can cut out of a budget, and there's a lot of money in there that you can play with, when in reality, most of the budget is made up of salaries and benefits. So you kind of learn that if you want to trim a budget, for the most part, that's going to mean human beings either having a job or not having a job. And then I would say the third thing is that a victory has not always meant that I won the issue on a council matter, but that sometimes a victory is just being able to be on the council, to talk about something, to make points around it. And even if the vote doesn't go your way, that's still a success. So.
How has the response been from voters? I know you're councilwoman-elect, but being out there campaigning, what was your response from your voters?
Well, I was campaigning during the primary, which we were pretty much shut down for the majority of my campaign. And so most all of my campaign was done via mail. Fortunately, we were prepared for that. So We sent out, I think it was 9 different mailers to the district, and they were called Annie-grams, and just talked about, we just built a foundation of who I was, what my platform was, connected with voters, compared and contrasted me with the incumbent, and it was very successful. Obviously, we won we beat an incumbent with a little bit more than 60%. So, and that was all from mail, and it was very successful. So that was my campaign.
What are 3 issues that your voters are concerned about?
You know, Tina, if you would have asked me that before March, I think it would have been a whole different list of things. But I would say right now, the majority of people are concerned with getting back to work, getting the economy going again, getting their businesses open. A lot of people are worried about taxes. Am I going to have a state income tax? And what's the budget going to look like? And then the third huge issue is getting our kids back to school. So those are, you know, amongst the other things, which we always talk about, which is healthcare and all those sort of things. But those are the 3 biggies right now for me.
On your website, you state your view on a number of topics. What are your thoughts on education?
On education, so I raised my kids primarily in Las Vegas, and in Las Vegas there were a lot of education choices, mainly private schools, charter schools, and even then I would say it was still a challenge to have choice in education, right? My kids were fortunate to go to a school in Summerlin, which was a very high-performing school with a lot of parental involvement. So I think we were spoiled there. And we moved to Mesquite. The schools are good, but there's not a lot of choice. There's one Christian academy and then all our public schools. So the thing that I've kind of learned, especially with COVID and the shutdown of the schools, is that we do need more options. Parents need to be able to, whether it's in a time of crisis or if your kid just isn't doing well in the school that they're in, that parents need to have a choice, whether that's a charter school or a voucher or a private school or public school, whatever, homeschool for that matter. Parents need to have the ultimate choice about how their kids are educated and where.
I agree. It's been a problem for a long time here in Las Vegas, in Nevada.
Yeah.
You took the taxpayer pledge, protection pledge. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, so the taxpayer protection pledge is just me saying in writing that I'm going to commit to opposing and instituting any new taxes on taxpayers, which I think right now is, you know, more important than ever, given the state of people's personal finances and their business finances. To me, that's something that if you claim to be a conservative candidate, you should have absolutely no problem sending the taxpayer protection pledge. So.
With jobs, what ideas do you have to diversify Nevada workforce and attract new businesses to Nevada?
Well, I guess like I, as a conservative, I look at that question not so much as what activities do we need to do to attract business. I would say that I would start with cutting taxes, cutting fees, and cutting regulations. And then you just step back. And I feel like in this country, the amount of cities and states where businesses can perform without overburdensome regulations and fees and taxes is shrinking every single day. And so if we could be a haven for business, I think naturally we would attract new industry and new jobs and new opportunities without really having to look for them or attract them.
Yeah, I agree with that. My husband's a small business owner, and I can't believe the taxes. He gets an fixture store tax. They come in and say, your shelves and your computers, you owe us a tax on that. And I don't think a lot of people know that stuff. So I agree with all of that.
Yeah, it's a lot of work and it's a lot of risk. And you know, I mean, you live it firsthand, right? And people, they don't seem to understand not only the risk, but all the things that go into that and the sleep that you might lose knowing that you need to make payroll and pay the rent and keep your store open. And am I going to be able to get paid this month as the business owner? People don't see that side of it, which is sad because it's your blood, sweat, and tears in that business, right?
Right. On your website, you have your Black's Blueprint, 7 Steps for Rebuilding Nevada. Can you tell us about the plan?
Sure. So during the campaign, we laid out a strategy of items that in an ideal world, I would be able to propose. And it starts first and foremost with the Emergency Powers Limitation Act. So that basically says that no governor in the state should have unilateral ability to shut down our state, to suspend our constitutional rights for an indefinite amount of time. So I would say 30 days would be a good starting point. 15 days would be more optimal to me. And what would happen after that point is the state legislature would have to convene and decide, hey, are we going to continue to keep the state shut down? Because right now, our legislators haven't had a voice in that decision. We've been closed for a long time. And so to give one person the keys to the state is a huge problem to me, which I don't think we should ever have to go through again. The second one is cutting taxes. So that would be anything from state business license fees to maybe doing a flat vehicle registration fee, cutting the statewide sales tax, the commerce tax, and then cutting the modified business tax. And then if you're going to cut taxes, you obviously have to cut spending because you can't really do one without the other. So I would say we go to Governor Sisolak's tactic of saying, okay, these businesses and these jobs are essential and these are non-essential. And we have to go through every single government job, program, whatever it is that we pay for. And we have to determine, is it critical or is it non-critical? And if it's not critical, then it has to go, just like we've all done with our businesses and our own finances in our home. I think also we need to implement some sort of ambulance chaser protection so that when businesses are going back to work, they've already been severely damaged by the shutdown. Now, let's not open them up to frivolous COVID-19 lawsuits, because that could be, I mean, they're already going to be struggling to survive anyway. So let's not have more financial hardship. And then I would say a big one that I think everyone's talking about is occupational license repeals. So I can see if you're a developer, a builder, a lawyer, a doctor, but in the state of Nevada, you have to have 2 years of experience to be an interior designer. So I don't know if interior designers are deciding what's a load-bearing wall or whatever, but the reality is you're picking colors and paint and couches. I don't understand why you need 2 years of experience for that. So that's something that I think we need to work on. Obviously, back to education, homeschool, promoting and supporting homeschool families, because I think that's going to be huge. Also, school choice. And then finally, I would say the Taxpayer Bill of Rights. So basically, over the last 3 legislative sessions, each time that we've had a session, we've had $1 billion budget increase. And the Taxpayer Bill of Rights would limit our legislators' ability to increase our budgets without voter consent. So those would be my 7 dream issues.
Those are on your website if anybody has a question or wants to go over those.
Yeah, and there's a lot more information. My website is electannyblack.com.
Okay. Michelle, do you want to take a few questions from the audience? Wait, I can't. Sorry.
There we go. Sorry, I had my mic off. So absolutely, we're all set here. Annie, love your plan, your Black blueprint. That is awesome. My little tidbit to share, because I did spy on your website that you were, let's see, your birthday is January 20th, 1981, which is Ronald Reagan's inauguration. I'm going to throw myself in there. My actual birthday is February 6th, which is Ronald Reagan's birthday.
Oh, cool.
So there we go. We've got some kind of little Ronald Reagan connection. So one of the questions that came in regard to education, it definitely sounds like you are an advocate for school choice. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think one of the things that has been eliminated was opportunity scholarships. And where do you stand on that and ESAs?
ESAs for sure, opportunity scholarships, yes. Basically, if it gives the parent the choice, I'm behind it. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as the parent gets to decide what works best for their kid. I think it's the right thing to do.
Agreed. That's I think the parents should have the power in regard to when it comes to their own children and what could be decided best for them. One of the other things on your website, you had mentioned illegal immigration, and what is your stance on that?
If you're not here legally, you shouldn't be here, period. There's no negotiation with that. You shouldn't be driving a vehicle. You shouldn't be voting. You need to be here legally or you shouldn't be here. Pretty simple.
So here's a question that also came in. Knowing that we are 34 days out from the election, what are your thoughts on mail-in ballots?
Oh, I have been opposed to mail-in ballots and speaking out against that since the day that we caught wind it might happen in the primary. I just think it's a horrible idea. It's an opportunity for so much nefariousness to go on. And, you know, we've all seen the Project Veritas video that just came back with the people in Minnesota bragging about ballot harvesting. So there's just so many ways that that can go wrong, and I'm absolutely adamantly against the mail-in voting unless you have requested an absentee ballot, which is fine. But to blanket send out thousands and thousands of ballots when you don't know where they're going or who's intercepting them, to me is unacceptable.
I'm with you 100%. We actually got, I think, at least 2 ballots for people at our house that don't even live here. And our 15-year-old son keeps getting different survey things sent to him. We're like, how is this happening? So here we go. Another question that came up. What bothers you the most about Governor Sisolak, and what advice would you give him moving forward?
What bothers me the most about him is probably his inconsistency with the way that he's managed the coronavirus pandemic, whatever people want to call it. From day one, it's been a mishmash of, I don't know where he gets these ideas from, but it's just, it felt a lot of times to me like he was picking winners and losers, and that there was a very, I don't know, vindictive nature about a lot of the decisions that he was making, which really doesn't set well with me. So that's, I don't remember the second part of the question. Can you tell me what it was?
No problem. What advice would you give him moving forward?
I think I would say get out of your little group of advisors and go talk to some people that aren't your people, because I don't know that he's hearing what the rest of us are saying. It certainly seems like he's not. It seems like he's listening to the same people, which don't seem to be in tune with at least our side. And I feel like there's a lot of Democrats that feel that way too. In politics, I've found that you can be on social media, you can be in your group, you can be in your echo chamber, and everything is telling you and verifying that the decisions you're making and what you're seeing are true. But when you step outside, you start to see that it's not that. Like, life is happening, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, people still just care about their kids going to school and their business opening and having a job. And I would say just get out of your little group and go out there and talk to some other people and see if maybe that talks to your heart and changes your mind a little bit.
I think that's actually very good advice, or even just read the comments on his Facebook page, but I digress. You seem to be an advocate for tax cuts, and one of them was mentioned was a mileage tax. Can you tell us what the mileage tax is?
So the way that I understand the mileage tax, I think this is just to clarify, is this the tax that they've been kind of studying now here for a bit? I don't know if it's relating to electric vehicles. I think that's what you're probably talking to. I think that in concept, I guess I get it. But what I worry about as someone in a rural community is that we commute a lot. So if it's going to be based on your mileage and how much you travel, that might be okay if you're using an electric vehicle in a city. But if you live in Mesquite like I do and you commute to Las Vegas, which is a 90-mile trip each way, sometimes 4 or 5 times a week, then you see that a lot of rural people are rightfully nervous about that. And I don't know that passing the buck for what you're losing in gas tax on the electric vehicles back onto everyone else that drives a gas car is really the way to go. It's like you're penalizing them for using a gas vehicle, which I'm sure is all what it's meant to do. But it's certainly, I don't agree with it, and I think that it would hurt our rural communities a lot because of how much we do commute. So if I understand the question right, I think that was what you were talking about.
Another question that came, this one was emailed in. Republicans consider you a new shining star in the party. Where do you see yourself going in 2022 and beyond?
Who knows? I mean, the sky is the limit, really, right? So we're gonna have to wait and see how redistricting goes, and then I think that we can make decisions from there. But right now, I'm grateful to be where I'm at and excited for the opportunity, and I am going to go forward in this role like this is the last election, and if I never get reelected again, that's okay. I'm not going to make decisions in this upcoming legislative session from an aspect of self-preservation, right? I'm gonna leave it all on the table, and I'm gonna fight for what I think is right. And if that means I never get reelected to another office again, that's okay. That's okay, right? We'll live to do some other sort of activism or something like that, but we'll see. Who knows? Who knows?
That's definitely refreshing to hear, and I have a great appreciation for you to say, you know what, that's bold, be bold or go home kind of thing.
Right.
So with that, you know what, I had read on your website, this is my own personal question that I have, as you just said, if by chance things, didn't work out, that your dream job was what?
So I would love to be a scuba diving treasure hunter. I don't know, I love scuba diving. I love history, and I don't know, kind of Laura Croft, Tomb Raider girl.
Nice. Do you have your scuba license already?
I've had it since I was, I don't know, 14 or something like that. My dad's been a diver my whole life, so yeah, I was a junior diver, and so I don't do it as much as I would like to these days, but it's a cool, peaceful experience, and I do love it.
Have you ever dove in Lake Mead?
Oh yeah, I grew up diving out there. So from when I was a kid, my dad had, I think it's called like a hookah rig. Basically, it's an air tank on a floating thing, and then it has regulators that come down. So me and my cousins and I would have the little regulators, and we'd be swimming around, and big water family. So we would spend all summer at the lake, and so yeah, been doing it for a long time.
Fantastic. Here's another question that came in. Any predictions for the upcoming presidential election?
Trump's gonna win, without a doubt.
Here we go. Short, sweet, to the point. I like it.
We win, they lose.
Nice. And I know one of the questions Tina, I might throw this back to you. I mean, to see if there's any more questions that do come in. But what can we do to help you?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking. So right now I am focused pretty heavily on Annie-PAC. So I created my own political action committee, and it's anniepac.com. So the objective of Annie-PAC is to help other conservative candidates to promote conservative ideals and basically be an engine for building the movement that I so deeply want to build within our party. So you can donate, or we are also doing this really exciting project where we're doing petitions. So we did our first petition, which was asking Governor Sisolak to resign, and I think we ended up with 2,500 signatures on that. And so I want to, every time that there's an important issue coming up, I want to give people the opportunity to have a collective voice in saying we are against this or we are for this. And I think over time, my vision for that is to build such a following that if we send out an email, it goes to these people that we know we can activate, and then say we're in the legislature in 2021 and something wacky comes up. and we need to activate 20,000 people. You can send out this email, everyone signs up for this petition, and then we can use that petition, print it out, have everybody's signature, and say, look, this is you cannot ignore this. You cannot deny that people don't want this or do want this. Whereas I think right now the system is you send an email, you make a phone call, it's kind of hard to, it's not one big thing. So I think it's more easy to ignore that rather than, hey, here's 20,000 people, 50,000 people to object to this. And so I'm really excited about building up the movement and giving people a voice and a way to say, no, we don't like that, or yes, we do like that. So
that's awesome. And that's anniepack.com?
Yep, anniepack.com.
Okay.
So we
already in the chat.
Yeah, we endorsed our first candidate, Andy Matthews. Then we endorsed Katie Williams for school board. And I believe we probably will be endorsing Stephen Delisle sometime soon and a few other candidates. So it's pretty exciting.
You must have been kind of psychic because there's actually a question that says, how do you plan on helping the party select the right candidates? So here you go.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, and when you get into this and you start getting known as a political person, politically involved, you get a lot of people, I get a lot of people reaching out to me. So I have my little list that I just fire off and try to, inform as many people as we can, especially with the judges and whatnot, because a lot of people struggle with those, but yeah.
So is there anything else that can be done to help you officially have a campaign. Is there something else that can be done in regard to signage or helping get the word out?
Yeah, no. So I was fortunate that we selected a race where we don't have a general opponent. So we won the primary, which means we won the election. So my name will still be on the ballot for the general, but it'll just be me. So I have to get one vote, which I think I can do. But so we won. And so at this point, I am fundraising and just building up Annie Pack. So if you have any desire to volunteer, I'd love people to help with Annie Pack. And then also fundraising is super important, especially as an outlier and a fire starter. I can imagine that a lot of people are going to try to shut me out from being able to raise money and blacklist me. So I have to make sure that I'm in a position where I don't get taken out because I, made some people upset.
Well, you know what? Be bold. Be bold.
Yeah.
That is, I think, let me just double check and see if there's any more questions that had come in. I think that is done it for us there. But what would you like to, in kind of wrapping things up, what would you like people as a takeaway to know about Annie Black?
I would love people to know about me that I am a conservative. I'm passionate about this country, this state, and our conservative values, and I'm always available. I know people are always surprised when they email me or call me or text me that I'm a little slower these days because there's so much going on, but I do always respond personally, and I hope that I'm able to continue to do that and have that one-on-one relationship with people, and that they know that if they need something, they can always call me and I'll be there, and I'm approachable and available. So that's something I hope people will always know and think about me.
That's fantastic. Tina, I'm going to toss it back to you. Thank you so much.
I think that we are fortunate in this group to be a part of Spring Mountain Republican Women or other women's club or Republican clubs. So I think, Annie, it's great that you will keep people involved even after the excitement of the election is over with your PAC, and keeping people's contacts that want to stay involved and just don't know how to, because a lot of people don't know how to stay involved. I think that you will do great. I think we're lucky to have you in the assembly, and I think you'll make us proud.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And again, I appreciate the opportunity to sit with you guys tonight. And I do want to be really active with the voters throughout the entire state. So if anybody wants to sign up for my newsletter, which you can do that Anybody can do it. Doesn't matter where you are, if you're in my district or not. You can go to electannyblack.com and sign up for my newsletter. There's always good stuff in there. And maybe when we get to the session, we can do some of these little catch-up videos and do updates while we're in Carson. I think that might be neat for your people too. So, but I'm always available. So.
All right, Annie, thank you. October 7th, we'll have Liberty Levitt running for Clark County School District Board, District A. Thank you, Annie, and everyone who attended, and thanks for sharing your ideas and getting to know you better.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
You too. Bye.